Imagine being in the U.S. Army in the 1860s and pursuing raiding Apaches into terrain like this. To say you'd be screwed is an understatement. This is Cochise Stronghold in the Dragoon Mountains of southeast Arizona. Cochise was one of the most renowned, respected, and for the period of the Apache Wars, feared of the Apache leaders. Cochise had tried to live in peace as the white settlers came into his land and the land of his ancestors. Unfortunately, in 1861, a different band of Apaches raided a settlement and a young boy was taken hostage. Lieutenant Bascom of the U.S. Army accused Cochise of capturing and holding the boy hostage. Wanting to keep on peaceful terms, Cochise agreed to a parley. And when he arrived with his band, Lieutenant Bascom and his men attempted to arrest Cochise. Cochise escaped, ended up with some hostages of his own, and over the course of the next few weeks, hostages were killed on both sides, and the beginning of the Apache Wars was launched by this unfortunate, yet somewhat avoidable situation. For the next 10 or 11 years, the Apaches raided, the Army responded, and over 4,000 lives were lost. President Grant had pretty much had it with the stories coming out of this part of what would eventually be Arizona, and demanded peace. He sent General Howard, who connected with one of the white friends of Cochise, a man named Tom Jeffords, and peace was negotiated. The Chiricahua were given Chiricahua Reservation, a sizable chunk of land that included these beautiful Dragoon Mountains. And Cochise kept the peace, eventually passing away and being secretly buried someplace here in his stronghold. But of course, the white settlers wanted this land. And another unfortunate incident where two illegal whiskey sellers refused to sell more alcohol to a group of Native Americans resulted in the Native Americans killing the whiskey sellers. And that was all the excuse that the colonial power needed to dissolve the reservation, to round up the Chiricahua Apache and move them around the country as prisoners of war. They moved them as far as Alabama and Florida. It's pretty amazing to come into here, to get to hike in this stronghold It's kind of terrifying to think what it must have been like to be, well, a U.S. Army member trying to come into this area that is unbelievably lush and just covered in boulders everywhere you look. There is nothing but hiding places, which is exactly what the Apache did. Many people, when they hear the phrase Cochise Stronghold, believe there was a fort, some type of fortification. But this area is a natural fortress, and the Native Americans used that to their advantage. So fortunate to get to come in here and see and experience what it's like to wander in such beautiful country with such important history. The evening before that wonderful hike, I camped in the U.S. Forest Service's official Cochise Stronghold campground. It certainly didn't feel like I was camping in the desert. Camping here allowed me to walk across the bridge by the campground and hit the trail. I really can't think of a better way to start the day than to get out early and hike in magnificently beautiful terrain like this. Last night while I was at the campground, I got to chatting with a guy walking a dog that he'd rescued a few years ago. Very cool dude. And he gave me a tip about another trail that I should go check out, because at the end of this not terribly long trail is something very worth seeing. So let's go for a little hike and see what type of treasure is at the end of this trail. Boy, this is turning out to be a really cool, fun trail. Sneaking around through all these boulders. Oh, wow. Oh. Whew. Such beautiful country. All right. Looks like we've made it. Yeah, we did. Okay. Check this out. There are pictographs in here. Oh, isn't that cool? After rolling out of the stronghold, I made a quick stop in Pierce, Arizona to check out its historic jail. And I found the historic Pierce Mercantile is up for sale for the bargain price of $1.2 million. It includes a private residence, a museum, an intact blacksmith shop, 2 private courtyards, boardwalks, and potential retail spaces. What a deal! After an awesome day of hiking in the Cochise Stronghold, I've headed over near the Chiricahua National Monument and gone into the Coronado National Forest, one of the Sky Islands, and found a fantastic camping spot. I tested the internet and thought, all right, this is great. It works. Tomorrow I'm going to have a hiking recovery day and a work day, and then I'll get going after that. Well, wouldn't you know, once I unhooked the trailer, put everything out, got everything organized for a few days, maybe even a week here, the internet sucked. It would be really good for a minute, and then it would make AOL dial-up look really good. So, unfortunately for me, I got to work. And so I have hooked the trailer back up. I am ready to roll out again in the morning. So tomorrow's recovery and relaxation and working day is not going to happen. But what is going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and head to Chiricahua National Monument, where we'll be exploring some spectacular rock formations, going on a wickedly cool hike, and checking out a historic ranch.